Hello and welcome everyone. I would like to highlight on this particular problem which I found out to be very interesting to discuss about. The problem name is two permutations. In this problem you are uh, given n, a, and b, three variables. N would be the length of the string. You're going to have to create two strings. Now these two strings are going to need to have the same length of the prefix of length A and same suffix of length B. Both of those strings need to have that A and B respectively, prefix and the suffix. And you're gonna input these three variables, and you're gonna have to output whether it's actually possible to figure out these two distinct strings from the given input. Now, when you would jump onto solving this problem, you will find different test cases, different scenarios that will arise, and provide different answers. And those cases that we're going to talk about in this video. First of all, let's say you are given a prefix of length 3 and you are given a suffix of length 4, and let's say you're given n variable, or should I say the length of the whole string, as 10. So n would be equal to 10. Let's say A is this and B is this. What I mean by, okay, we're given this input. Let's try to, generate a string out of it. Whether we're going to see whether it's really possible to figure out two distinct strings having the same prefix length and the suffix length, with the total value of the string as 10. Is it possible? Let's see. What we can do is simply create the prefix first. Let's say 1, 2, 3. This could be one of the possible prefix. Now for the string 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. Similarly, I could also add 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, what will be inside these values? First of all, you're going to have to create the permutations. I forgot to talk about that, but talked about it. But you're going to have to ultimately generate two different permutations, fulfilling these two constraints. Now, what are the values that are left actually? 8, 9, and 10, right? So for the first string, you would simply add it like that, 8, 9, and 10. What would be for the second string? Well, I could say, simplifyingly, okay, I will just simply reverse whatever it's remained, or whatever you have written on the first string. So 10, 9, 8. Now, does that fulfill our condition? We have two different strings that are satisfying the constraint. What was the constraint? Same length of prefix, having the same values. Yes, we do have a 3 length of prefix having the same values. Same thing goes for the suffix here, as you can see, but not the rest of the values, because if you even, if you think about it like that, what's wrong with adding the same values up here? We could also add 8 here, 9 here, and 10 here, right? You could say that, but the problem would be if you do this. Yes, we can say that we have two different strings, but that would not satisfy the constraint. Then the constraint would not have a prefix of length 3 then. It would have a prefix of length 10. I will come to the conclusion later, but that is how you're going to do it. What I mean by is, if you insist me to put 8, 9, and 10 here, I don't want to put 10, 9, and 8. I want to put 8, 9, and 10. It would not it would not satisfy the constraint. As you can see, if you put 8, 9, 10, what would happen is that prefix length would then increase. It would not be the one which was required. 3. Same goes for the suffix. So that is something that you need to worry about. Now, what would be the case if something like that happens? Let's say you are creating, and a situation arises, something like that. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and 5. And there's only one character or one value left, let's say 6. So there won't be any other option to go for other than going for 6. You were planning to reverse it, right? To make the condition satisfying, but here there's no way to reverse it. If you even do reverse it, it's going to be the same character, it's going to be the same value, and thus it's not satisfying the condition, which means it would give the answer no. So when there is only one element left, after satisfying the prefix and respective suffix, when there's only one element left, the answer would be no. And the same thing goes for if there's no element left. What if there's no element left? What would happen? Imagine you are creating prefix and suffix of like that, and there's no element left to put in between. Then the answer would also be no, because it would not satisfy the constraint. Because, for example, if you are asked, take this example for a second here. You would take A would be 3, B would be 4, B would be 2. What would happen? What if the n was 5? It would not satisfy the condition, because once you make it, you won't have any values to go for, or should I say to reverse. Thus you make the same string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what does that signify here? That signifies ultimately that you have a prefix of length 5, but that was not the requirement, was it? That was not. The requirement was that A should be 3, B should be 2, but here A is also 5 and B is also 5, which is not required. It is not fulfilling the condition, so that would also result no. So the left element, the elements that are left after providing the respective prefix and suffix, the answer would be, if the remaining element would be less than or equal to 1, the answer would always be 0. But there's a special case here. What is the special case? The special case is if, let's say, in the input, the n, let's say, is 3, the A is also 3, and B is also 3. What would happen? If A is 3 and B is also 3, what would happen? It would simply mean that you will have a prefix of length 3, same as the suffix length. Okay, so we could create two strings, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, both satisfying the condition. So if n is equal to A and n is equal to B, the answer is always yes, because then you don't have to worry about what's left or not. It's always going to be the answer, because A is also equal to n and B is also equal to n. After, I hope you understand the intuition for this case. Another condition is that if A plus B, if A plus B is greater than n, then what will happen? Then the answer would also be no. Why? The answer would also be no, because A would, what would that even mean? That would mean that some of them will be greater than the other. Some of them will be greater than the other. There won't be any Um, uh, what would that signify? That would signify that you won't actually have a situation where, let me talk about this with an example of, for example, you were setting up, imagine you are setting up a prefix of length 4, and you are required to set up a suffix of length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say imagine a 6. Now what does that mean? That would overlap this thing. Now when there's an overlapping thing, you after drawing the values, you would see that you are not getting the required prefix that you needed. You are not getting the required values that you actually needed. If I even do give an example, I think that would simplify everything. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Let's say that the prefix for this string, let's say for the prefix was 3, the length was 8, the prefix was 3, and the B was required as 6. Now, can you imagine you are creating a prefix of this, then what would be for the suffix? You are not going to be able to add it here because it's already a member of the prefix. So that would not satisfy the condition here. It will cause a huge problem it would not give you the answer. Ultimately, it's going to be, the answer would be no. But there is an exception here. That exception is that if A is equal to N and B is equal to N, only then you have the answer. Now I would love to show you the code here. Very simplifying code. You would understand it. Now, if N is equal to A, is N is equal to B? Answer is yes. Otherwise, that's the case that we talked about recently, and that's the value. If it's less than or equal to 1, it's going to be the answer no. Otherwise, it's going to be the answer yes. So that is how we would solve the problem. So yeah, thank you very much for your time.